Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the weather forecast here by Outages Weather Forecast. This is my third video of today. I'm not exactly sure if it will be my last because I have no idea exactly how big the SPC outlooks will be in the next coming hours, around all the way up to 9 o'clock Eastern time. So I don't necessarily think I'm gonna post again because I don't think the SPC will do anything different. I do expect it to be all the way up to northeastern Georgia, but I don't necessarily think they will actually do that. But they should. And again, I don't think necessarily the high risk will be issued as well. But we still have major new updates on the SPC on its earlier update a couple of minutes ago. We have new updates on the National Weather Service and a lot more tornado reports that were reported out here into now Mississippi and a couple in Louisiana. So we're possibly seeing 20 plus tornadoes already, and we are still not even close to the severe weather risk in the level 4 right now. Yet again, to Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia, the worst will be arriving later in the afternoon into the late evening. So be sure to subscribe, guys. Thank you so much for 2,110 subscribers. I could not do it without you guys. And please, guys, please share my channel, to any friend or family, because they definitely need these updates. And who knows if they won't be able to get to the TV or anything. Just again, please share the video, or if not the channel, to any friends or family that you think are going to be in the way of this major severe weather, because who knows that if they don't have new information. This is exactly why I'm doing this. And I'm also going to be doing a coverage video of me doing the coverage from now on in the middle of the night of the severe weather, capturing tornadoes, hail, and damaging wind that I'll be posting later tomorrow. So again, please be sure to subscribe if you're new as well. I'm going to be doing a ton of new coverage in this major severe weather and historic outbreak that will possibly be the resemblance of the 2011 outbreak in the southeast. Again, we're seeing multiple tornadoes, and we're going to be seeing a couple more later on. I'm going to be focusing on the locations and exactly the timing of the threats, and also going to be looking at the new SPC outlook, the new storm reports today, and detailed radars. But without further ado, let's get in the video. So here we are going to be looking at the National Weather Service. This is where we're going to be seeing the biggest updates, really. So we actually now have severe thunderstorm watches that have been issued for the South Central now. That is going to be due to these bands now developing the South Central. And these are actually going to be the bands that will possibly bring the very big severe weather into Arkansas and into Tennessee. This would be close to the worst severe weather we'll be seeing today, and it's going to be developing a bit later into Oklahoma and going to start moving eastward into Arkansas. So that could be the big threat, where we start to see some tornadoes developing now in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Starting to see that severe weather developing to the west now instead of more east. Again, we have Hugo, McLester, and Ardome, Oklahoma, that are under severe thunderstorm watches, and that's also including areas into northeastern Texas near Texarkana, and also including areas in southwestern Arkansas. That will soon become very widespread in the open window for Little Rock, and possibly heading towards Jonesboro. And again, there's a chance that we can possibly see some tornadoes out there, and as well into southern Arkansas, including southwestern and southeastern. Speaking of southeastern Arkansas, we still have tornado watches in effect throughout those southwestern counties in the lower Mississippi Valley. Again, Monroe now added the tornado watches as these bands do move now more to the east, and also seeing some very strong bands developing out there into southern Louisiana. Going to be seeing very strong bands now passing Baton Rouge, also passing areas into now Hattiesburg. Going to start seeing some strong bands developing there from the Gulf moisture that's going to be coming in there due to that low pressure system developing it. Most of these are going to be from overday heating. This is exactly why. This is not really from the main system. This is just severe weather developing from this overday heating, which is definitely going to cause a lot of issues. Again, we have out there in this area in Alexandria and Baton Rouge, where these bands are developing, we have a slight chance. So this is showing you we can see some very strong bands in a slight chance, and we had very strong severe weather as well into Lake Charles in southwestern Louisiana, where they only have a marginal risk. Again, up there to Monroe, we now have that, of course, that moderate risk, and now we have that moderate risk moving now into the southern Mississippi area. Again, Hattiesburg now has been added to tornado watches. Almost all of Mississippi is now been added, and now we have a new tornado warning. And we had a tornado earlier in Yazoo City, and also a tornado in Monroe. I believe it was an EF3. Correct me if I'm wrong. And now we also saw some rotation now moving near southwest of Columbus. We've seen 2 new tornado warnings that have been added here into Mississippi. Again, we have 3 counties together where we do have these tornado warnings. It's the exact same band that brought in the tornado out there near Yazoo City and also brought that rotation threat for Jackson. Again, we actually have some really strong bands that's going to be heading towards Meridian and Hattiesburg in the next couple of hours here. And now we have these flash flood warnings now issued for near Florence, Alabama, and also out there into north central Mississippi due to the incredibly heavy rain. Again, also have Bastrop, Louisiana, Greenville, Cleveland, even Tupelo, all the way up into northeastern Mississippi. Again, the next state in line is now Alabama and Tennessee. Alabama will very soon start to see these tornado watches as that band is within minutes from arriving to the border. It is moving, I believe, 55 miles north at northeastern pace. So now we're going to be looking out here into the radar right here where we're seeing these very strong bands again. We saw very strong bands move in my area actually in the past I believe the past hour. Again, I got that on video and I'll be showing you guys the video tomorrow once I have all the coverage. Again, here we have that very strong band from the overday heating. And again, this is showing you that the threat's not over. And then we have that very strong band where we have that second to worst band. And that's going to be the very big band. I know you're saying it looks very small. But again, we're going to be seeing this low pressure system right here into Louisiana. That's going to be continuing to strengthen. And when you have a low pressure system strengthening right over a band that close, it could become this within a matter of time. So once this moves out in the afternoon, still going to bring in that very strong severe weather from Mississippi, Alabama, and western Georgia. But once it starts to move in the overnight hours, this system will now be heading down to the Mississippi Valley once again, like this band, which is why we still have those flood warnings for much of the Mississippi River. Again, seeing the really strong severe weather threats, possibly discrete cells. That's moving towards Springfield, Clarksville, and also Nashville. And then we have some supercells again. That's that major band that brought that incredibly strong tornado for Yazoo City. That's going to be moving now towards Columbus. And then this is where we start seeing these tornado watches as soon as the next 5 to 10 minutes. We'll start seeing these tornado watches in Alabama. I would not doubt if we have them by the end of the video. We'll go ahead and check. Again, that strong severe weather will also be moving out to the Ohio Valley, which is where this strong band takes over. So that's really what we're looking at, the detailed radar there. Here is the new SPC outlook, and again, now we have a new state that has been added to the moderate risk, and I actually predicted this. I actually predicted that southern Tennessee with the border Alabama will be added to the moderate risk. I believe 2 days ago I predicted that, and next thing you know, we have it. So Tennessee now has been added to now the Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia threat for the moderate, and very soon I really think we should have this moderate risk go throughout all this area right here. Actually, not including I don't think it should include North Carolina. I think it should go right here, at least like that. It has to, because we're going to be seeing incredibly strong linear bands moving throughout northeastern Georgia that I think should get some recognition for a moderate risk. And of course, it's too late to add a high risk. They didn't consider it, and I think we should have at least a little area right here with the high risk. But again, SPC still didn't do it. Like, we didn't have the probability of a tornado likely and winds high enough to actually issue that high risk. But again, I think it was necessary. But again, this, like I said, they didn't add it, and it wasn't 100% necessary. But I felt like it could have helped prepare a little bit better. But Marginal still has around 28 million people in it, again, stretching all the way from the Gulf Coast, the Big Bend area, all the way up to the Ohio Valley and Midwest. So stretching a bit more northward as well this first, not just east. And again, Jacksonville, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Arlington are still the biggest cities out there into that marginal risk, also including, of course, Raleigh. And now the slight chance. This is where we have a bit of a bigger threat for severe weather. It's not incredibly high, as that's why we still have the enhanced and moderate in front of it. But in the slight chance, we still have a decent chance for possibly seeing maybe some pea-sized hail. If tornadoes, likely very, very small tornadoes, possibly very unorganized, maybe not even touch ground. And again, you're going to be at a very low risk for seeing tornadoes, but it's a bit higher than the margin. Of course, as you go on closer and closer to the higher levels, of course, you see a higher risk. And now we'll also be seeing out here into the enhanced risk. This is continuing to move now eastward. Now it has now taken over much of western North Carolina near the Appalachians, and has also now included the southern Kentucky area into now far northeastern Tennessee. It might even be added into Virginia. It's actually in the far tip of Virginia, but it might include Roanoke, maybe in much of the little panhandle area soon. That's where we have a pretty decent chance of to a 10% chance for tornadoes and a very high risk for severe weather in general. That's where we could possibly be seeing some very strong tornadoes, very large hail and damaging winds. That enhanced risk, that's where we should start seeing these moderate risks taking over that area, though. We have that for now. 16 million people. That's for now. Nashville, Tennessee, Shreveport, Mobile, Knoxville has now been added to that, and as well Chattanooga. Chattanooga is incredibly close to that moderate risk. I believe they're within 1 to 5 miles from that border, actually, of the moderate risk. And now the moderate risk has now included not close to rounded up now to 10 million people. We have Atlanta, Georgia, Birmingham, Montgomery, Columbus, and Jackson, Mississippi. Tornado threat is still maintaining at a pretty high, again, up to a 15% chance. I know it only says 15% chance, and you learn that 15% chance is very low. Oh, but again, in other words, for the tornado probability, a 15% chance is like saying a 30 to 40% chance, because it's going to be very hard for them to guarantee more than a 50% chance unless they for sure know you're going to be seeing a tornado. It's also very hard to guarantee the location. So a 15% chance, if you're in a 10 to a 15% chance at yellow or red, you're in a very high risk for seeing tornadoes, small or large. The biggest threat for the large tornadoes has now, of course, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia have the biggest threat for those stronger tornadoes, mainly the central and northern part of those states, except for Arkansas and Tennessee. Those are going to be the southern parts. So 10% chance is now including up to 9.5 million people, including Nashville, Mobile, Sandy Springs, Macon, and Murfreesboro. And then the 15% chance is now rounding up to 9,300,000 people, including Atlanta, Georgia, Birmingham, Montgomery, Columbus, Georgia, and Jackson, Mississippi. The wind threat has now, the highest risk for a wind has now entered Georgia. As you can tell, it's continuing to move eastward. So very soon, actually, my area could possibly be added to that 45% chance wind threat, as these bands are now moving eastward. As you can tell, it's now leaving more into central Tennessee, northern Alabama, north central, and central Mississippi, and continue to see that threat for Arkansas and Louisiana. Now it has entered northwestern Georgia. That 50% chance and 5% chance, very low chance we're seeing these very strong thunderstorm winds. But again, you're going to be seeing those very strong non-thunderstorm winds that are coming again from the north. That's what will possibly have those high wind warnings. So you're probably saying, why do I have 15% chance when I'm seeing tropical storm force winds? This is about severe thunderstorm. This is coming from thunderstorm and severe weather winds. So that's why it's seeing a 45% chance in areas that are only seeing up to 50 to 80 mile per hour winds. That 30% chance winds, that's where we have a very good chance. And maybe some of those areas that are just below the pink, you guys can very likely be added to that pink very soon by tonight. That 30% chance, including now up to 19,300,000 people, including now Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, Shreveport, and Mobile. And the 45 to a 60% chance, that's including up to close to 6.5 million people. That's for Nashville, Nashville, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, Huntsville, Alabama, now Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Murfreesboro. Hail threat, now we actually up to a 30% chance, and that's actually for the south central and again southern plains. That's from those developing storms that I told you. They look very small, but they're going to be very powerful, especially as it does move into Arkansas and Mississippi, and they have the highest risk for the hail. That's for, again, 528,000 people, including Texarkana, Arkansas, and Texas, Paris, Texas, Sulphur Springs, and Mount Pleasant, Texas. And then we have a 15% chance throughout much of other major areas that are in the moderate. Now time for the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow. Again, this is very low. Sorry, not very low, very high actually. You have up to an enhanced risk as well as a refresh. Again, this is what we're seeing now. Categorical. We have now 31 million people, of course, in the marginal, the level 1, still seeing some some scattered severe thunderstorms, but again, not a huge risk for seeing tornadoes or hail in these areas in the marginal. That's for New York City, Charlotte, Pittsburgh, Newark, and Jersey City, New Jersey. Slight chance, that's what we're seeing closer to those maybe stronger bands there and getting a bit of a higher threat for maybe seeing wind and hail. Not necessarily tornadoes if you're all the way up in the mid-Atlantic. Might have one or two in Pennsylvania, maybe even Maryland, depending on how many cells and how strong those bands are, especially with the overday heating, depending how warm and cold it is. That could definitely define the strength within the tornado. For 27 million people in the slide, that's for Philadelphia, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., or District of Columbia, and then Virginia Beach. Enhanced risk, where we have the highest risk, and it has now entered the southern border with Maryland. So Maryland, you have been added there if you're in the far border with Virginia, like right literally on the line. Um, Again, that's where we have that enhanced now reaching out on those in Maryland, and it should push a lot more now up to maybe even Delaware. That's going to be for 11 million people, and that's going to be for Raleigh, Greensboro, Durham, Richmond, and Newport News, Virginia. Tornado risk is still at a 10% chance, but the 10% chance has not entered Maryland as well. That 10% chance for 11 million people, including Raleigh, Norfolk, Greensboro, Durham, and Richmond. Wind threat actually getting quite high as well. Of course, the highest risk will be the enhanced. That's a 30% chance for strong these thunderstorm winds. That's 11 million people, including again once again Raleigh, Greensboro, Durham, Richmond, and Newport News. And then hail threats maintaining very low. Actually, the 15% chance going all the way up to Pennsylvania, including all of Virginia, and all of much of Maryland. So that's again where we had that threat for hail. Now we'll be looking at the updated European radar again. What we're seeing right now is these very strong bands developing again out there in north central Mississippi. Now going to be heading towards Columbus, Meridian. And then we have that very strong band that's out there where you have those tornado watches out there not far from out there into southern Louisiana as well. Again, very strong bands now developing out there once again to western Tennessee. Now going to strengthen the bands in Nashville. You guys are going to be seeing a whole lot of rain. And then as we get in the next couple hours here by around 8 o'clock Eastern or 7 o'clock Central Time. Again, here we have this this is when we start to see this severe weather start to really ramp up. Starting to see a lot more action behind these cells and a lot more energy in the amount of joules per kilogram will start to go up as well. That's going to be for Tupelo, Florence, now up to out there into Clarksville. You guys start to see that rain line up and starting to see these severe weather bands arriving in Georgia and the Carolinas. Here we go. We see this very strong band in Oklahoma, now moving towards into Arkansas. Again, very strong. Even though it develops really small, that's going to possibly bring some very heavy rain for Joplin, moving now, of course, to Little Rock, and now heading towards, again, Jonesboro into the southern Mississippi Valley. Again, here we have the very strong bands, though, starting to really start to look a lot worse and ramping up into now arriving northwestern Georgia. Again, out there near Huntsville, very strong bands now. Now moving into, you thought if you were in southern Mississippi, you were out of the way. No, Hattiesburg and Gulfport, you guys see some severe weather there. And then looks going to go straight through Georgia again. It's going to get, this severe weather is going to go right over my house, the worst of it. Again, still seeing that big threat for severe weather for south central Alabama. Could be seeing quite the strong band, especially near Phoenix, Alabama. Also including maybe Montgomery. You guys might see a thunder or two. But the worst of it will maintain on the other side of the state borderline, including Columbus, Georgia, Alpharetta, Gainesville, Georgia. Of course, Atlanta definitely get some very strong bands and start to move out soon. And then we have this a slight to an enhanced risk for Georgia and the Carolinas due to that very heavy thunderstorms again. Not necessarily looking like we're going to have too many tornado reports tomorrow. Could be seeing maybe in between 10 to 20. But you're probably saying that's kind of a lot, but it's not going to be a lot compared to what we're seeing today. Again, here we have these two low pressure systems. This is exactly why we see these start to see these bands ramp up. Again, low pressure system right over the band. That's definitely exactly why we start to see these ramp up. And that's why we see the moisture now start to strengthen as well, which will make these bands a lot stronger with all the moisture and the overday heating. This is the perfect ingredients. Again, here we have that strong band that I was showing you guys earlier in the National Weather Service in Georgia. That what I saw, that's going to start moving now past Clemson and now past out there in Greenville. And then again, the worst, we'll start to see that really strong severe weather out there to to northeastern Mississippi, which is what that brought that tornado out there north of Jackson in Yazoo City. That's going to bring a ton of rain and severe weather towards now Tupelo. That's going to be heading now towards the border with Tennessee. And that's where we start to see that severe weather developing in Alabama. That's where we'll possibly soon see this tornado watches. And then it had that possibly wall cloud formation strip coming off from the main system. That's going to bring in some more severe weather now for Lufkin, Texas, where we saw that tornado, that first tornado of today, moving past Shreveport, moving past Monroe, Alexandria. More severe weather coming your way. And then the major portion that this band we're seeing right now will actually leave to the north. So this is exactly where this band forming in Oklahoma comes in hand, because this is what we have left coming towards the southeast. Because all of this right here, that's moving north from these winds pushing it. Again, that's where you have those winds pushing everything out of the way. Again, that's going to bring a very heavy severe weather threat. That's going to be what we're seeing, that severe weather threat for Ohio Valley. So again, once that moves out, this is all we really have left. And then we have this other small little band of severe weather with that 992 millibar low pressure system. It's going to bring a ton of severe weather for much of northwestern Alabama. Continue to see some other scattered bands left behind in Mississippi. And then starting to see the worst of it now strengthening out here into Tennessee. This is where we also have a chance of tornadoes as well as southwestern Kentucky. And then we have these multiple linear bands. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6 major linear lines will be heading the exact same direction. Again, going to go right over my house here. And then seeing some bands conjoining over Columbus, Macon, Georgia. And then we have these bands once again becoming a linear band all again. And that's where we have that joining into tomorrow, bring the strong severe weather threat. Now we're gonna be looking at today's severe weather report. Again, it shows 10, but it took almost an hour to report the Monroe tornado. We have up to I believe it's 18, between 18 to 20. It's sad to say, but I've actually lost count. But the ones that they have reported on the National Weather Storm Prediction Center are the ones that happened earlier today. Again, that tornado near Tyler, just east of Tyler and east of Lufkin, Texas, and then those tornado reports for Shreveport, and then north of Shreveport, and that also Monroe tornado, and also again that Yazoo City tornado. And then we've had 18 wind reports. It's got to be a lot higher, and we only have 35 really reports. Again, we had DeSoto County. We had those two tornado reports for DeSoto County. We're gonna go ahead and looking at the joules per kilogram, the energy here, which I was talking about the Cape values. They definitely go a lot higher. Lake Charles, like I said, on the marginal, you guys have to close to 5,000 joules per kilogram, which is a ton of energy behind the severe weather. Again, that severe weather starting to now push into Alabama. Seeing these 2,000s now instead of these triple digits now going to be turning in now to 4 digits. And by 11 o'clock, continue to see this energy now out there into the Louisiana area with this Gulf moisture from the Gulf, of course. And that's what we're going to be seeing there. So we actually had major updates as well now out here into the south central Mississippi, also seeing a ton of power outages here. Louisiana had a total of 33,000, to around the 34,000 power outages. Texas at 28,000. Really, Texas will be a lot higher if the worst of their bands didn't develop right on the border with Arkansas and Louisiana, as if Louisiana had this whole northern part of the state. And Mississippi is going to take over, as well as Alabama and Georgia. These areas will start to take over that power outages ranking, as almost their whole state will see the risk, and not like Texas, where it developed right on the border. Again, let's go ahead and check out Louisiana. Again, it's mostly moved out of Louisiana, but we're also going to be seeing these power outages developing there out now southern Louisiana now, and getting closer to Baton Rouge. So we actually have now 2,000 out in Terrebonne County with now Louisiana, seeing 3,000 out in Jefferson County, seeing 340 out here in these other counties. And again, we have quite a bit more power outages as well into now northeastern Louisiana. Union County, 690 out there near Jackson County, 152 out, 2,000 out for Webster County, so 2,000 out for DeSoto, and then we see up to 4,000 out for Cato. We had actually 5,000 earlier, but they have now recovered, I guess. And then again, now Mississippi already has up to 14,000, and most of it again going to be near. We have that Yazoo County name only 300 out, I guess, for that tornado didn't really impact many populated areas, as it is a small country town. 1,000 out for Claiborne, up to now 600. Seeing that now power outages near Meridian. Again, that's going to be from these strong bands now heading towards much of western now. Mississippi is going to be taken over by these strong bands, and that's where we have these tornado watches now moving in out here into now Alabama very soon. Again, starting to see that action near Tupelo. We actually have again up to 1,500 near Tippah County, up to now almost 6,000 out there into north central Mississippi. So that's what we're seeing there. Let's actually see if I was right, if we'll see these tornado watches added out here to Alabama by the end of the video. And I was right, guys. I was right. We now have a tornado watches have been issued for Alabama. I was once again right. And I hate to be right on this one. And again, now we have that tornado warning now for Macomb, Mississippi. That has now been confirmed tornado warning for that very strong band again. Remember, they're only a slight chance, and they already had tornado warnings again. Now we have again. Now the next state is Georgia, which is now my state. Of course, now we have that area in the moderate in Tennessee. Now in Lawrenceburg, you are now under that tornado watch, also including Birmingham, also including Huntsville, Hamilton, and Alexander City. So I was once again right. Hope you got into the video, and bye.